Well, hello there, boys and girls, and everybody in between. Welcome to 2020. That escalated fast. Uh, Unless you've been living under a rock, Bush, damn. Trump decided to assassinate an Iranian general, probably one of the most popular and powerful military figures in the Middle East and certainly in Iran. He historically he was probably the kind of bravery that Patton was reported to display walking around on the battlefield without a flak jacket, and he was beloved by his military forces and by the people. So we can stop debating whether or not this was a declaration of war. It certainly was on our behest from the United States side. All you have to do is turn it around and say, okay, what would we take it as if somebody had assassinated Colin Powell at the height of his popularity, or any other U.S. general or a vice president, somebody really popular. It's taken me a while to do this video. It's a couple of attempts, but as this is just thinking out loud, there are so many moving pieces to this, and it is really hard to figure out, who pulled the trigger on this and why. For people that have followed me and know me, we've had this conversation before. It has, at least since Second World War, there have been forces within the American government. At the end of World War II, they argued for continuing the war and to take out Russia at the time, because they thought that the United States Army was stronger at the time. So that has been on the agenda from American foreign policy since World War II. Obviously, if you're participating in the debate here or just trying to follow along, you know that we overthrew the Iranian government on behest of British Petroleum when the Iranian government, a duly and democratic elected government, wanted a fair price for their oil. We installed a dictator called a Shah, or an emperor, and he was then overthrown in the late 70s by the Muslim Revolution. And we have, of course, tried to overthrow that government ever since. This is, in essence, about petrodollars, right? This is about protecting a U.S. dollar that has nothing behind it except the fact that most of the world does business in that currency, and that is its strength. We also have to take into consideration, why now? Why do we kill a general that has been plotting, supposedly or allegedly been plotting against the United States for decades? Why now? So they will say that Iran has been provoking, and there was, the incidents with a drone, there was a ship, and now the American embassy in Iraq. But we don't know. There's been no proof, right? The Trump administration is in essence saying, we did it now because there was an imminent attack, and you have to trust us, right? And if you're old enough to remember the Iraq War and the lead up to that, yeah, we're not going to trust anybody on anything anymore. There was no weapons of mass destruction, and it is easy to make an argument that the invasion of Iraq And the invasion of Afghanistan is what led us to this moment in time right now. And we would have been here anyway. As I said earlier, it has been the policy, foreign policy of the American government to get to Russia at some point. And it goes through Iran, right? 7 wars, 7 countries. Russia is the end goal. Maybe China's in there. But it's hard to get around the fact that both Donald Trump is impeached, right? The House impeached Donald Trump, and we're waiting for them to figure out how the trial is going to go in the Senate. And Netanyahu in Israel certainly could also use a distraction because he is on trial, or certainly, yeah, he's been indicted and on trial for corruption and bribery. We also know that Russia wants us out of the area, right? Syria, Libya was kind of their proxy countries, you know, like Germany and South Korea and France is for the United States. So they're certainly a player in the area too. And it seems to me that the two quickest benefactors of this assassination of Soleimani is Russia and Iran, especially because today the Iraqi government voted to withdraw their invitation to American forces in their country. So again, so many moving pieces, but I don't think that the world has been closer to a large-scale war or even a nuclear exchange than we are now. Now, why do I say that? Well, I say that because there is no way that Iran is going to go to war directly with the United States. What Iran needs is to unite the Arab world, and they kind of did that right now. They're isolate Saudi Arabia and then unite the rest of the Arab world against Israel and the United States. So how can you do that? Well, the first move today was to put pressure on the United States, right? And say, so if this vote is real and the call from the Iraqi government goes down to or over across the pond or whatever to Washington, and they say, yeah, it's time for you to go. We want you to leave. Well, then, will we? Now, if we don't, well, then we're now an occupying force. I mean, we are, in reality that anyway, but then we are really an occupying force. That unites Iran and Iraq. Now, can Iran and Iraq draw Israel into a fight? Well, then the question comes back over here. Are we willing to send our military, our brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, mothers and fathers, back into the Middle East to defend Israel? Smart people tell us that it will take over 1 million troops if we're going to go to war with Iran. They have a standing army of a little over 300,000. They have another 400 and plus thousand in reserve. Everybody in Iran serves 18 months of military service. Now, let's say that we think that we can support Israel and starve them off with air support, and it doesn't work. Will Israel use a nuclear bomb against Iran? Again, there's so many moving pieces. But we are at a very, very dangerous time right now. And it is, I mean, the only hope we have is that the Iranians do not retaliate. Or that if they retaliate in such a way that it leaves an out for Donald Trump not to do a tit for tat. Well, I don't know if there was much information here that you could use or if it helped you see anything differently. But this really is a time to talk to your friends and to your neighbors, to remind them of the propaganda and the lies that led up to the war in Iraq, and to see the same patterns this time around. And remember, it is not you against me. We are not the enemy. We are brothers and sisters. This war is not about us or for us. Wow. It is a scary time. Anyway, there I go again, thinking out loud. I truly hope that you had a blessed and safe entry into 2020. And, yeah. Be safe. Take care of yourself and take care of each other.